Was the county good, Jeff? County all good?
It was good today because he was there. So,
Bright spot.
There we go.
yeah, we did some good things for the county drainage board. Everybody's happy.
It's not easily done. That's an accomplishment to ever have.
That's a good board. Drainage board's a good one. They like us.
Good.
We need to write that letter.
Mirror image. Yep.
Yeah. We're shifting right over shifting left.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Baseball season's upon us. Ready to go. Thank God. I assume you watch a lot of matches.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's what else to do.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was laid off. So I guess
Did you find out when you go back yet?
yeah, they sent a message out to go back. I gotta go Monday night.
Okay.
For how long? Do you know?
You know, there is one.
They were telling everybody at work when they came in last week on.
Here, you can have our fuzzy.
It's gonna make so much noise when I put it on there.
Really? Bring
Yeah,
yours around now.
You're
I
welcome to
was
try.
because I had training Thursday.
Okay.
Hands of a
So
surgeon.
they asked me to work, so I was taking 2 weeks off. I'll say, I'll scratch over.
Sure.
But they messed up on the appointment.
Yeah.
So there's still a lot of people that can wait there. And then now our next, because this week we got to do another one too, but we get a holiday pay in there, so that messes everything. So we're gonna wait to get our paycheck next Friday. See how much it was.
Mhm.
Put that in for an appointment. That's just gonna be.
And 2,000 boys.
Yes, sir.
Good singer.
Just 3 minutes.
These are definitely an improvement. Used to
Mhm.
be back a few years ago, it's all paper. Wow.
I bet.
You have,
Folders. If we look at my backpack with all of my papers in it.
so you take the file home, the file gets bigger.
Mhm.
Really thought, let's go digital.
Yeah.
Up here, Rotary yesterday, Pistol.
Hmm.
Yeah, you was doing the Rotary meeting.
Oh, nice.
Good. You had to figure like what he was telling us, it's probably only 1% of the knowledge he had and what's really going on.
Hmm.
You know, we don't have to be the quickest, Willie. We just gotta be quicker than Chad.
That's all matters.
Oh, I don't know. Don't sell yourself short.
That's why I want the president, vice presidents out there.
We're not gonna be able to get out. He's not gonna move fast.
They're rough on that.
Not a friendly group.
Meeting hadn't started yet, correct?
Yeah.
Hadn't even started yet.
Did you hear about the teenage boys in Florida that did that? What? They were, oh, yeah. They got a bulletproof vest.
Yes.
And one kid got killed.
Yes.
They charged one kid with negligent, yeah, or something like that. 17 years old. Huh. Yes.
Hey, Karen. Karen. Yeah, what? Those back. Thank you so much. Okay, I signed it today. Yeah. it's in the stack. Okay. Close enough.
Call the 2022 town council meeting to order. Let's have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Banner, you ready, please?
Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Robert Jones,
I'm here.
Marissa Skaggs,
Here.
Shane Davis.
Here.
Steve Denny.
Here.
Jet Babb.
Here. Approval of minutes from prior meetings. Questions or comments from anybody?
So you can do them both together or separate?
Better do them separately.
We can do it either way.
All right. Have a motion to approve the minutes from both meetings, please.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. I've got a motion, a second. Roll call vote, please.
Steve Denny.
Aye.
Shane Davis.
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Robert Jones.
Aye.
Jet Babb.
Aye. Minutes are approved. Clerk treasurer's report.
Okay. You've all had a chance to see the accounts payable voucher. We spent a little over $1.4 million last month paying bills. And our general fund, see, is in good shape, 951, 226. And I think that's all I have this time.
Willie, if I could ask, could you tell me what the,
No, you can't.
oh, okay. Me, I'm sure you have these all memorized. On the second page, IMA Inc. Subscriptions, $8,028.32. On the membership dues, 22, what that is?
Say it again, I might know.
What's
I-
the name of the
Okay.
company?
IMEA.
IMEA,
Oh, Indiana Municipal Electric Association.
okay, but the dues are 8,000 a year. It's 8,028 according to the voucher.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, I think that's for
Okay.
the town and everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of services that come with that.
Okay,
It's not just
all
like
right.
a membership, like, you know, we're.
We have a
It's to be
member on
part of
the
the
board. for
utility,
that.
yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
That's good though, Bob. Any other questions or comments? If not, entertain a motion, a second.
I move to approve.
Second.
Motion, a second, roll call vote. Lou.
Bob Jones,
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs,
Aye.
Shane Davis.
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Aye.
Jet Babb.
Aye, motion carried. Department reports. I know the chief, fire chief's in another meeting tonight. Chief Far.
Good evening. Monthly report for March. Officer Krog is recertified in the taser, so we have our own instructor on staff for that. And got recertified, everything was great. Captain Trailer, myself, and Officer Bertram went out to Tractor Supply the other day and met with Mr. Jordan Becker. He's their new safety supervisor. We walked the facility, talked security, responding to incidents, different things like that. So Jordan, actually, he's a Henry County guy, and I know his family. We ended up knowing each other, so it's a good relationship to have him out there. You may have heard Officer Baker was thinking about leaving the school and coming out to the road. He's changed his mind. So he's gonna stay in the school, and that has been a great program for the school in the town, having them out there. So Officer Baker's gonna stay on as the SRO, but we had a new position to fill, and we chose to hire Nathan Silva, who was one of my reserves. As I put in here in the report, Officer Silva was employed with IU Health in Tipton, and he was a Tier 2 graduate of the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy. What that means, that's a different academy than the full academy. So he'll still have to go back for what's called the Tier 1, but he has completed the Tier 2. As a reserve officer, he has been working as the SRO at the middle school. Officer Silva is an Army veteran where he served as a healthcare specialist and received 2 Army Commendation Medals and a combat medical badge, along with other citations during the Afghanistan campaign. His first day to work was April 4th, and we are finalizing some training with him. We'll get him acclimated to start his shift. He'll be a night shift patrolman. And Officer Silva wasn't able to make it tonight, but once we get him into the rotation, we'll have him here to meet you if you haven't met Nathan. But we're excited to have him.
SIL.
SILVA. His wife's Megan, she's a local realtor, I believe still over here at FC Tucker, if anybody knows her. And they have 3 kids, 4 kids, 4.
Live here.
Just inside Henry County, just outside Marshall. They're in the big metropolis of cats.
Big place.
One change on my report also, I had total incidents of 199. We actually had 1,217. The reason the 199, when I looked at my chart, that was how many calls we had at the time this month. And so I thought that was a little low. So we have 1,217 incidents per month. And that is about it. One arrest that maybe stands out, I don't know if anybody, because again, people were discussing a girl that was a strange situation that occurred at the Dollar General store last month. She was walking around the store, some guy was making her uneasy, supposedly sprayed something on her. But we had no information, no license plate, no name, no credit card, no video until hours later. And it ended up, luckily the staff remembered him. Once he came in again, called us, the guys were able to stop him, have a talk with him, and we're charging him with battery on that female because he sprayed her with hand sanitizer or something. So if anybody in the public has anything strange going on, please feel free to call right then. Quit going on Pendleton Chatter first.
Thank you.
Contact the police.
Thank you.
It's really silly, and we can do a lot more if we're called first. But we made an arrest on that.
Clean arrest.
Clean her out.
Where's the snare drum?
We need sound effects in these meetings.
We don't need, we need a big hook.
Thank you, sir.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Judge?
First, I'd like to introduce the ordinance, the fact of rotten jokes.
I
I think it'll be punishable. with
Hit the
multiple-
hammer, Chet. We hit the hammer, get him out there.
multiple things. I guess the good news is things are coming down because COVID has been handled for the time being. Court is coming back to a normal situation. We had quite a backlog, but it just takes time, and we're pleased it's happening. The other thing is that there's a driver's license suspension reform under HEA 1199. Has no effect whatsoever, y'all. It has effect on people who have suspended license. There's basically a more lenient attitude going on about that deal for people to get the driver's license back. It's a great program because again, some people are really adjusted to the situation, but it throws a lot more paperwork into the court and people handle it all the things we go through. Informational, somebody says that they're suspended, you get your license suspended, there's more gaps and windows that there hasn't been before for people to maintain and get their license back. So I have nothing else at this time. Question?
Thanks, Judge. Mark there.
Good evening. Just a couple of things I wanted to highlight from my report. We are pushing forward with the playground project pretty fast and furious. We should have our bid packets ready hopefully by the park board meeting this month, if not 1st of May at the latest. So once we have those, I'll circulate those to you all as well. So you guys can look those over. From there, we'll send them out and hopefully get a bid that falls in line with our budget. Be able to start construction soon. Once that happens, we'll start pushing information out to the public once we for sure have hard dates on closures for that playground. But we'll be as forthcoming with information as we can. Once we get it, we'll get it out to the masses. One other thing is the farmer's market is making its return to the park. It will start May 7th. So from 7 to 1, Saturdays from May 7th through the middle of October. The entrance at Pendleton Avenue will be closed to traffic, and then also at John Street. So in front of the park will have no vehicle traffic. from
What do you
7
say the hours were?
7 to 1.
7 to 1.
Yep. That's the same as it was last year, so hopefully people are used to that by now. Any questions for me?
Who's in charge of running that?
The Friends of Falls Park are gonna run that for us again this year. They did a fantastic job last year.
And what's the date again? I'm sorry.
The first day is May 2nd. Yes, from May 7th through, help me know, October, the second weekend in October, I think. Okay. Every Saturday.
Any questions, comments?
One question. Have you made arrangements yet to notify the public about the park being closed during the summer while you're redoing all the construction?
We haven't pushed that information out yet. I'm hesitant to do that in case kids don't come in line, and then, so once we get those bids back, and we have one that's within our budget that's been accepted and approved, then we'll get it out on every platform we can, ads in the newspaper, be as transparent as we can with everything.
Yeah, one thing you might keep in mind, just for your information, Tracy has the availability to put it on the electric bills. So
Mhm.
mention notation, might be good. Everybody gets a bill and
Absolutely.
let them know.
Yep, that would be perfect.
Definitely put it on the website.
Yep.
Kind of all over.
Mark Park and put it on Chatter.
Anything else for Aaron?
No.
That's good.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Anna Rose.
Yep. All right. So you've got our April building permit summary in front of you. If you have any questions, just let me know. As far as administrative, we have hired Denise as our new planning and zoning administrator. She is overly qualified and we're really excited to have her on board. She's already making a big dent. Our facade grant had 2 new applications approved yesterday or the day before for the Tyler Martin Insurance Building and the Grey Goose Inn on 11 North Main. We're really excited that the weather is getting warm because people are able to get more contractors, I guess, under a date that they can come out and start fixing things. The supply chain has made the materials a little difficult to get, but things are moving. So we have a total of 6 out now. So that's really exciting. Our UDO had some amendments approved last month. We're still in review of strengthening our commercial solar and wind, but for now it's adequate. And lastly, our subdivisions, Huntsinger had its secondary plat review approved. They are getting me their last minute materials. They're getting me the approval sheet from the drainage board. They have a few typos on the plat, but it's pretty much ready to go. So it'll get moving here shortly, I'm sure by the end of April. And the US 36 project, our department heads have approved the infrastructure layout plans as it was given by CDM Smith. We did find that there are no historic structures in the way that would affect the layout of the project. That was one thing that was kind of being held up, to make sure there was nothing historic along the project area. So that was good to go. So that's all I've got.
Have you been invited to the crossings?
Well, the town was, so. What's this guy? It's gonna go to that.
Okay, we'll talk.
We can all go.
You won't go see the governor.
I've been to plenty of them.
Okay. Thank you.
Not that I don't dislike the governor. Too many of those. So Hannah announced Denise's promotion. Stephanie Buck is gonna replace Denise, but she's gonna continue to have duties at the court. So she's basically starting out part-time, and then after a couple of months, they go full-time. She had some other things set. You know, we're happy to have her. And so that's how that position is going to transition. If I had some questions on that. That position is a billing clerk position that helps out planning. We're going to get a community crossing grant, it looks like. Just so you know, it's a $1.2 million paving project throughout town, so it's quite a bit. Unfortunately, it was planned for last summer, and some things happened with community crossings, and we weren't able to use the full amount that we needed. So I know some of the roads have gotten really bad this winter. So we can't do that soon enough. Town hall remodeling, they're going to be standing this weekend or in the 3-day weekend. So that by the time we come back on Monday, hopefully that smell is gone and nobody gets headaches. The RFPQ for the aquatic center has gone out. I just sent out an email asking anybody who's a town employee, any official appointed, elected. If somebody comes up to you that wants to know, and apparently there's some people in Pendleton that are actually interested in that work for companies that build pools. But they come up to you and ask questions, say, look, it's an open, public, competitive process. So the questioning by other possible competitors or responders. When they ask me a question, what we'll do is we'll collect them. They come into me, they're supposed to send them just to me so that I can collect them, put a response, and then everybody can see it. So we never get the impression that we're feeding information to one company or one team versus the other team. Okay, so just if somebody does come up and ask you, just direct them to the website. And the full RFP explains how that whole process goes if they've got questions or need clarification. Utility tax is going to be limited for water and electric. That doesn't start till July. But there was some stuff out that makes it sound like we were going to have to do some stuff earlier on that. We do have to post it for 2 months. And then that tax gets lifted starting on July. You guys have been starting some of the minor drainage projects. So the clock shop, the future clock shop at Water in Madison. And then Madison and Maine, they put in an extra drain, and just today they finished up the drain. Well, they finished it up, but got a drain in behind Taco Bell, you know, those properties there, Taco Bell, and then everything to the north, the next 2 or 3 properties to the north, they've had standing water for years. But they're doing it while during the heavy rain, it looks like it's pulling that water and getting rid of it. They haven't yet on the other side where the water drains. We need to clean out that trench, and there's a drain at the end of that. So you go around the curve on Central Way, Riley's property, the shop's property where they park some of the vehicles. That's actually got a ditch and an inlet there. It just needs to be scooped out. It's just sort of silted up over the years. And then you should start to see a lot of the hydrants that are in disrepair, you're gonna start seeing that probably most likely weather permitting. You'll see the guys starting to work on those. Got some parks in, plus we're over the freeze, and the guys can start to work on those. Some of them, I told them not to work on until the hard freezes were over, and now they're ready to go on. So that's all I have.
Did we get any new hydrants or just repair parts?
We've got, I think in all, I think there's one that we may have to get a new, that's a whole new type of hydrant, whole new manufacturer. Some of those hydrants, a lot of the hydrants that were hit are older models, parts are hard to find. And you know, when they take a hydrant and replace it with a new one, that's sitting on an old main. So it is a very touchy thing to do. And that's why in some cases I told them not to touch it until the winter weather was over. Because that's the last thing you need is turning the flows. Water main break. Any other questions?
Thanks. Little old business ordinance 22-05, vehicles exceeding weight limit.
Okay, we had this before you before, we went with discussions. That we went back and thanks to Jeff, we rewrote this. He found an ordinance that worked between the two of us, and then feedback from the police department, the chief. I think we put together a pretty good ordinance as far as weight limit, and basically it's saying if we don't already have an ordinance in place, then the default limit is 10 tons. That's the best way to sum it up. One of the things in here too, it defines from the input from the police department, how are the guys gonna know how much it weighs? You know, so it allows them to look at the books on the truck, police officers, you know, open up the door, look at what the rest of the vehicle weight is, defines what that is, defines what the exceptions are. Do you have any comments?
Just simply, this is a way so we didn't have to spend huge money on scales and training. The gross vehicle weight is a mandate that's on all vehicles, so it's real easy to research it, know it.
Lot of work went into this because, you know, there's two sides to it. Scott wants to keep the roads in good shape, but keeping the heavy trucks off. Chief can't enforce something that he can't measure, see, weigh. So they got together on this quite a bit with Jeff, and I've reread all that, and that's what we need. It's good ordinance, and he can enforce it. That's what it amounts to. Any questions on 22-05?
Yeah, question on Scott, how's it work, say a concrete truck? It's gonna be over, how's it work, they're delivering 8 yards of concrete on, how would they comply with that, and it's in town?
Well, first of all, if they're really heavy, what they should do, there's a couple of things they can do. They can come talk to us and tell them what they're doing. All right, and we may make them do 2 loads instead of 1 or something like that. Well, that's the other thing is that they would have to split their loads, that sort of thing.
Okay.
You know, it's so frustrating when just take like Indiana Avenue, somebody wants to pour concrete on that. That is gonna cost us $20,000 to pave. So a guy can make $200 to get tear up that street, so he can make $200 profit. And it costs us $20,000. You know, just because they don't want to make the extra effort to do 2
Okay.
loads.
So we can enforce from standpoint, they could come talk to you about that, whether you offer any kind of a variance from that, would depend on your good judgment.
Right. And they're, you know, both we're lucky in one way is that the town has a lot of state roads that come through, and those are designed for the heavier loads. So they can almost get to any sector of the town before they damage our roads that are not designed to take heavy loads. And then I can work with them, depending on the situation. Sometimes, certain, in town, it's a lot less than the 10 tons here. A lot of places in town, it's 5 tons. So, if they come and talk to me and I could look at how many axles they have, which spreads out the load and that sort of thing. And, maybe there's just some way that doesn't work.
It's gonna break up the load.
They're just gonna have to break up the load. Sorry. You pay me $10,000, you can tear up that road all you want.
Scott's talked about this with the developers with me about when developer comes in wanting to build a new place. I talked to him about the loads and the limits. And because it's tearing up the outside, Carrot Glen, Hunsinger Farms. Yeah, I mean, you can see it, so.
And we're not the only one.
No.
The county's had it. They're up to their, up to here with it. Ingalls has had a lot of issues. It's just, if you allow it, they're gonna tear up your streets. If you put your foot down, somehow they find a way to do the right thing.
Yep.
Cost of doing business. Yeah.
Not gonna be our costs.
Any other comments or questions on 22-05 vehicles exceeding weight limit? Yes.
One other thing that occurred a couple months ago, the first of this ordinance was the housing commission in Ingalls next to Maple Ridge Elementary. The trucks were traveling from there over the interstate past Smith Farms to go to the gravel plant out of Noblesville. And so they're destroying our roads and not paying any tax or any penalty.
And Ingalls passed an ordinance where they couldn't be in there.
Right, so they bypassed Ingalls in the county by coming to penalty.
Right.
Right.
Business.
Yeah.
Good point though, chief. Any other questions or comments? If not, I'd like to have a motion, please.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Yeah, I have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Shane Davis,
Aye.
Robert Jones,
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs,
Aye.
Chet Bab.
Aye. Ordinance 22-05.
Well,
Do we need to do, we've already done this once.
Yeah, but there's been some substantial
Some
changes to
changes.
this.
Mhm.
I'd recommend that we ask for unanimous consent to adopt on the first night's
Okay.
minutes because of those changes.
That's your
I'll make a
vote.
motion to suspend the rules and have the second reading.
I'll second that.
Got a motion, second, suspend the rules. Roll call.
Robert Jones,
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs,
Aye.
Shane Davis.
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Aye.
Chet Bab.
Aye. Okay, we'll suspend the rules, so I'd like to have a motion second for ordinance 22-05, second reading.
I'll make a motion to approve on the second reading of 22-05.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. 22-05 vehicles exceeding the weight limit, second reading. Roll call.
Shane Davis.
Aye.
Robert Jones.
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs,
Aye.
Chet Bab.
Aye. Ordinance is approved. New business, ordinance 22-14 park impact fees. I'm back. Good.
So in front of you tonight, we have an ordinance to impose an impact fee on new construction that will directly benefit the park. I think that we provide a high level of service to the residents of our service area, and this fee is imperative to being able to maintain that level of service for participating. With us tonight is Sam Schrader from Baker Tilly, who's been a part of this impact fee team. We've been working on this for the better part of 6 months. I think they've helped us put together a really solid zone improvement plan that'll help maintain that level of service that we provide. So if you have any questions, Sam would be happy to answer them, or I can help answer what needs to be answered.
What is the, I'm not trying to pin you down here, but the questions I get, okay? What, in your impact fee, and I've read it, I guess I'm not smart enough to understand all, of it. What we're going to use, what's the money dedicated for?
It's for capital projects that will be at a shortfall with the population increase. So I don't know, I think you have the zone improvement plan in your G drive. So on page 9 of that zone improvement plan, it lists out the amenities that we currently provide and then the level of service standards that's been created by what we currently offer for the population base as it is today. And then page 13 has the projections for what the population will be in 2031 and the number of new amenities we will need to provide that same level of service based on that larger number. And so those projects that are identified there are what the impact fee funds can be used for.
Okay. I think it's a good thing, but any questions on this? This has already been approved through the planning department, so that will be the first reading, and we can approve or not approve this tonight with one vote. So, correct, Jeff?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions or other comments?
Question on the, I'm all for the impact fees. I think it's a great benefit to the community, but have we gotten any comments from any developers or realtors as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, I think we are the only community in the county that has impact fees for residential development. Hamilton County has them all over the place, over Carmel, Fishers, and Noblesville, what they're looking at, because Hamilton County is Hamilton County. And have we, I'm a supporter of the impact fees, but I think it seems to me there needs to be some balance in there that either grow or you stagnate in the community. So I think in my perspective, you want to grow in a quality way for your community going forward. But I think we need to be sensitive to these fees, and I'm in support of the fees, but that we're not running away or driving away a good developer. Somebody wants to bring in a quality footprint wants to buy 100 acres, develop that for a quality footprint to grow the town in a good manner. I think it's important that we don't, drive them away, for lack of better words. And because we have our fees are around 8,000. This is going to be roughly 4,000, a little bit less than that, but we're looking at 12,000 in collective fees. We have the electric fee, and we have the water fee to tie in for all new development, which I'm in support of all that. But I think to me, it seems we need to be sensitive to some kind of a balance. Now, I don't have a definition of what the balance would be on that, but I think I can think of one community in the county that they're striving at growth. They're giving abatements, tax abatements, that kind of thing. We're not in a position to do that, but I think it's important that we have the door open for quality growth, not with roadblocks. And I'm not saying this does, but I think we need to be sensitive to that kind of a discussion. What a good balance is.
The only thing I can offer, and when I was researching what neighboring communities have done, Westfield is actually on their second round of impact fees. They had impact fees that started in 2007, again in 2013. Noblesville has them and has had them for a long time. And so when you look at those areas, I don't see those being stagnated by these impact fees. And it feels like maybe even I would go as far as to say that maybe we are a little behind in the park impact fees. And I mean, none of us have a crystal ball. I know I say that like every third meeting, but none of us have a crystal ball. So none of us are going to know exactly how this is going to impact. But from what I can tell from neighboring areas, it hasn't scared off growth as much as I think we might have thought it would initially. Is that a fair statement to say, Aaron?
I would think so. Sam, maybe you could speak to that.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. And I also just want to point out, based on state statute, 40% of the impact fee committee that Aaron put together has to be representative of the development and real estate industries. So they're in on these conversations from the start. I know Julie Schnepp was a part of it and, you know, spoke personally about her work as a real estate agent in the area. And, you know, she was cooperative and on board with this fee amount and, you know, helped reiterate throughout the process how important parks are to separate Pendleton, you know, as a community, as a place to grow and live. So I think that's something important to point out as well. And yes, you know, to your point as well, Counselor, those other communities that have these in place are thriving.
Sam, Ms. Chetnap, just so I understood I'm trying to understand you. You're saying 40% of the park impact fees has to go towards real estate building?
No, he's
No.
saying that,
Wait a minute, I want him to answer.
oh, okay.
That's a good question, and I apologize if I misspoke. But no, 40% of the committee that Aaron put in place to ultimately, you know, kind of guide this process. We had several meetings with the committee and Aaron, you know, as we, you know, continue along this goal of getting this fee implemented for the town and for the parks. 40% of those members have to be representative of those industries.
Okay, thank you. I was probably one of the more vocal ones with Scott about impact fees. And between Scott and some other people, they've convinced me impact fees really protect us. Bob, sort of answer your question. Yeah, we've had developers come in and don't like the amount of money that's going to cost them. We just got so much land left in the surrounding area right now, and we have to protect it. And impact fees are the way. I know there's been different numbers, and I just kind of figured these would come up. For this year, it's $14,497 for the town impact fees, connection fees, tap and caps, so forth. And then in the ordinance that we passed for this, there's an automatic 5% annual increase on January the 1st of each year, which was ordinance 21-15. So with the inflation and the number of the impact fees really protects the people that's lived here for a while and paid taxes. And you got all these new people coming in with new roads, new houses, and they haven't paid any taxes. So it impacts the town. That's the whole idea of it. And I think that's the easiest way I've tried to explain to different people who's talked to me about it is it impacts the town, our streets, our police department, our fire department, everything with growth. So you control the growth. And I think we're doing a real good job on it. We've got a lot going on and people are still coming to town wanting to do things here. So it's going to, there's going to be developers that's going to walk away. Okay, that's going to happen. But there'll be another one come in my opinion. Any other questions for Aaron?
I think some people too have thought that if you owned an old house in Pendleton and you tore it down and built a new one, you'd have to pay that, but you don't. I mean, you're not impacting the road anymore or anything else. So that, you know, we've had to explain a lot of that kind of stuff to people. And, you know, what it boils down to, if you want to live in Pendleton, there's a price, you know. And I can see you having satellite little parks out here at Huntsinger Farms, you know, different parts of town. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Part of growth.
Zip line.
Year and a half.
There's a line.
Every time it goes back to the zip line.
You buy the line, I'll try to find out where we're going to put
It
it.
would just go from the baseball field to Huntsinger Farm.
All the way through. Gondola ride.
Any other questions or comments or jokes?
All of us.
I need to have a motion for ordinance 22-14 park impact fees.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, thanks, guys. And This is second reading, correct?
Right.
Mhm.
Planning commission. did
Planning
the-
commission member.
Yep.
I have a motion second. Willie?
Shane Davis,
Aye.
Robert Jones,
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs,
Aye.
Chet Bab,
Aye.
Willie Bolts.
Yes.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Sam.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Ordinance 22-15 salary amendment. Willie?
This is just a little oversight that we had with the police department. I couldn't talk Mark into cleaning his own offices, so we have to pay this lady we've had for years, and amounts to $177 every 2 weeks. So just a little catch-up deal. Here's all we're doing to make everything legal.
Any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve 22-15.
I'll second that.
Thank you, guys. Have a motion second for ordinance 22-15 salary amendment. Roll call?
Marissa Skaggs,
Aye.
Steve Denny,
Aye.
Robert Jones,
Aye.
Shane Davis,
Aye.
Chet Bab.
Aye. Suspend the rules.
Oh, yeah, I'll suspend the.
I mean, we're just.
I'll make a
taking care of
motion
it.
to suspend the
Yeah.
rules. And have the second reading of 22-15.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion second, suspend the rules. Roll call?
Marissa Skaggs,
Aye.
Steve Denny,
Aye.
Robert Jones,
Aye.
Shane Davis,
Aye.
Chet Bab.
Aye. Okay, we've suspended the rules. So let's have second reading on ordinance 22-15 salary amendment.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
Marissa,
Aye.
Steve Denny,
Aye.
Robert Jones,
Aye.
Shane Davis,
Aye.
Chet Bab.
Aye. Ordinance 22-15 is approved. Ordinance 22-16, amending the zoning map for the big long number. Go ahead.
You don't want to read it out?
No,
So this is a zone map change from an ag parcel at 72 acres just north of the Heritage Way roundabout to light industry, rec and open space, general business, and multifamily. It was given a favorable recommendation with the list of commitments that you have up there. And I'm happy to answer any questions. The petitioner's counsel, Joe Calderon, is here as well, if you have any questions for him.
I'd like to make a comment on it. In the planning meeting, when they met, you correct me if I'm wrong here, but in the planning meeting, there was a lot of input from the residents on the north side of that 70+ acres, which would be on 132. And between Hannah and Jeff and everybody, working with everybody, they come to the planning meeting, stood and spoke up. Everybody was cordial, and the developer, shouldn't say the developer, people that own the land worked with what the town was trying to get done and the residents, which makes it really good for things to move forward. Just a comment everybody needs to know, because there's a lot of good works went into this.
Mhm.
Questions? Has this been,
Planning commission at first
okay,
reading, this will only require one reading, if either way to approve or not.
okay. I'd like to have a motion 22-16, amending the zoning map for, I'm gonna go ahead and put the number into the record. PCO 3022022-01.
I'll make a motion to approve 22-16.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Approve or vote on ordinance 22-16. Roll call.
Shane Davis,
Aye.
Robert Jones,
Aye.
Steve Denny,
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs,
Aye.
Chet Bab.
Aye. Ordinance 22-16 is approved. Next thing on new business is fire territory budget assistance service from Baker Tilly. What this is, just so we're been transparent as far as I'm concerned. Fire territory, which was approved last month. And there's a lot of legal paperwork that's got to get in on time, timelines on everything that has to happen. So Paige Sansom, I think is how you pronounce her name, that's worked with Steve and all of us from Baker Tilly, has done numerous fire territory startups. She volunteered to stay with us and do this, and this is approximately $3,000. And it's, in my opinion, well spent $3,000 to get and look at everything, the legal stuff, all the billing stuff for the ambulance side, plus the fire department. So just so everybody knows, it's approximately $3,000. It's an hourly wage. Baker Tilly's been real good about working with us on what I call service agreements.
And add on that, Mr. President, she's also going to be available for when the fire territory meetings start, either in person or by phone, for any type of questions or anything like that.
Steve will be on the board, is on the board. He'll be the chairman of the board because of the way it's set up. The providing unit, the rest of this year and the first year of the fire territory, he will be the chairman. They being the board, which is Steve, Fred Gaskell, Greg Valentine, and Chris Nodine, Chief Nodine, is on the board as a non-voting member. So Steve's ramrodding it, and Paige will help us. I'm telling you, she's good. Any other comments, Steve? What we just need to do, vote on.
Motion to approve the contract with Baker Tilly.
Okay. I need a motion to approve the fire territory budget assistance service for Baker Tilly.
So moved.
Second. Sorry.
Have a motion second to approve fire territory budget assistance service. Well, that's your cue.
I know it. Steve Denny.
Aye.
Shane Davis.
Aye.
Chet Bab.
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Robert Jones.
Aye. Passed. Hey, last thing.
One more question before you move on.
Sure.
Who should sign this contract with them?
Town council, Mr. Babb.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Mr. President.
Next thing is Coco, you hide back there in the back.
Yes.
So he wants you to go ahead. Why don't you come up to the podium, please? We're gonna put you on another meeting agenda. Bless her heart.
Hi, I know that we've talked about this and thanked everybody that was involved, but we as a council felt that Coco is just really went above and beyond helping plan, market, analyze this whole fire territory, and just couldn't be more appreciative of her help. The town council has signed a letter of recognition, which I won't read, I'll let you read it. But we also have a certificate here. The town of Pendleton presented to Coco Bill. With deep appreciation, we recognize and thank you for your dedicated service, exceptional leadership, and key contributions to orchestrating the establishment of the South Madison Fire Protection Territory. Thank you for your passion and commitment to making Pendleton a better place. Dated the 13th of April, 2022, in President Chet Babb signature. So thank you very much.
I said before, I can't ever pay the fire department back or the ambulance service. So I'm glad we try to pay it forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Coco, I have a check upstairs for your reimbursement for the money you spent.
Okay.
But I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not allowed to pay sales tax, so I had to take that off, sorry. Okay.
Any public comments?
Wait, I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda to consider discussion about the pending declaratory judgment and salary ordinance. Oh, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to consider discussing the pending declaratory judgment and salary ordinance for the town.
Not sure we should do that now that it's in court.
You could amend your ordinance, but to do so would require the agenda tonight to be amended. I think the town could still amend that ordinance. If the council would like to.
Are you sure about that?
I hate to see us
I-
do this.
I've got the paper here where it was filed and court and everything, so, you know, it started.
I think what we're doing is putting thanks, Joe. I think what we're doing is putting the clerk treasurer against the wall. And I'm not sure that's the right thing to do.
We've already put the clerk treasurer against the wall. I mean, that's the worst part of the story, is that the clerk treasurer's department is in a terrible position, and that's why they're doing the judiciary
But
review.
this right here will tell, you know, the judge will tell me which way to go.
Well, wait, counsel, go ahead.
Will, are you
Yeah.
trying to?
I would like to amend the agenda to have a discussion about the pending declaratory judgment. And I'm making that motion. So therefore, we would need a second and a vote to amend the agenda.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to amend the agenda.
We're not amending the ordinance.
We're
just-
amending the
just-
agenda
just
to have the
have
discussion.
Okay.
That's all I'm asking to do right this second.
Willie?
What?
Motion- motion to-
I'm done with that shit. You call yourself out to vote.
He's upset about this. Okay, let's have I've got a motion, a second. Let's do voice vote, please. Starting with Marissa.
Aye.
Bob? Aye. Shane?
I'm okay to discuss.
So that's it. Okay. Steve?
Aye.
And I'm an aye.
Okay. So I think most everybody in here knows the situation, that we passed a budget. The budget has now changed. Some line items have changed. We made a salary ordinance. The park made a salary resolution that don't necessarily match. And so we, as much as the park or whoever else, has put the clerk treasurer's office in a bad position. And so they're trying to go do this declaratory judgment to figure out who has the authority to set the park's salaries. What I'm trying to figure out here is, that's great to figure out who has authority, but really the overarching issue is that the town needs to work with the park and vice versa to come up with a mutually agreeable situation. And there's no judge who's going to like make that magically happen. So we have put them in a bad spot. They're trying to figure this out. I see that there are two ways we can quickly make this go away. And the first one would be that we could either revise the town's salary ordinance to reflect the park's salary resolution. I understand the reluctance to do this because it doesn't seem exactly fair that to our other employees, we limited them to a maximum 5% increase in their salary. But we have to like figure out a solution. Dragging this out in the courtroom is going to be expensive. And for the amounts at stake, frankly, I feel like it's unnecessary. Option two, be prepared to follow along. Okay, given that we are prepared to pay a significant amount in legal fees between the three entities, meaning the clerk's office, the town, and the park, and any possible appeals that stem from it, I feel like we have an opportunity to level the playing field in a way that feels fair to all of our employees. And that would be by honoring the park's salary resolution and increasing the other employees' salaries by the additional percentage that was reflected in the park superintendent and park maintenance foreman's salaries. the gap between the maintenance foreman salary and the max for that position in our ordinance is about 1.7%. So if the town's payroll is around $3 million, this will result in an additional cost to the town of about $50,000. I feel like we've been frugal, and thanks to some impact fees and stormwater fees and ARP funds, we've been able to move some financial burdens from the general fund to those areas, freeing up money in the general fund. I know it's a lot to digest, and we need to look at the salary numbers to get exact figures, but I would like to make the motion to remove the parks positions from the salary ordinance, with those employees' pay being adjusted retroactively, with the idea that we would hold a special meeting before our May meeting to revise the town salary ordinance with new amounts for all employees paid retroactively also. I think that what impacts the park impacts the town, vice versa. I know obviously people are angry and frustrated about this, but in the spirit of putting it to rest, quickly getting it out of the court system, having some say in how this goes forward, I feel like this is our only real shot at that.
I think I would agree with you, Marissa, on if we can put this thing to rest, I think would be benefit everybody on that. Most equitable way to do that. I know, as I recall, I think it was 3-2 vote on the issue on the difference on the pay on the parks position on that. So I think if we could resolve that in some fashion, I think I would defer to you, Jeff, as far as maybe some direction of what we can do on that, or whether it would change and we would have to vote to do so. Can you give us any advice on this?
You can always amend your ordinances. And Chet and Willie both brought up a point that this isn't litigation. But you always have the ability to amend the ordinance. You amended your salary ordinance tonight. And removing that the subject of the litigation, and Willie is absolutely right, is that the litigation had to be filed. And we discussed that.
We did.
Willie has a statutory duty to only make payments out under direction of this council. Well, this council says the park shall make this amount and also be limited by this raise. The park resolution says they should be paid this amount, which is different than that. So Willie has been advised by council from the park board, you must pay, please pay us what that resolution is. Here's this statute. And he's being advised by the town council through your ordinance. No, you pay him over here. So the tug of war two masters puts him right in the middle, getting each arm getting pulled on. So he filed the thing, and he had to. I suggested he do it. He found an attorney that had to be done. It's a good job. If you eliminate that point of contention and you change your ordinance, the litigation can end because of what's called mootness. There's no controversy anymore. But that's obviously up to this council.
So you made a motion.
I made a motion to take out the parks, the references to the parks salaries in our ordinance, with the idea that we would meet again relatively quickly, crunch the numbers, and figure out an equitable solution for all of our employees and move forward and like get this out of the hopper. Feels like every couple of weeks it comes back up. So let's get it out and get it over with. I feel like we're just spinning our wheels, and it's going to start getting expensive for everybody.
It already is.
Right.
I would base on that motion, I would second that motion.
I need
Can I
to say,
say
something.
something?
Go ahead. You want to go?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I understand. Try to get this over with. I just still have an issue with the whole fact that we were given a budget, positions in the budget. On the same night, they got rid of a position, which there was no call over here to the court treasurer office. Hey, we got rid of this guy last week. You know, we need to omit this from the budget. I've still got an issue with that. To me, it doesn't sit well in the stomach that was done. I don't care if it was done or not. That's not my concern, but the budget process is where the issue is.
I think we can fix the budget process. I mean, and a couple of representatives from the park are here, and I think they would say that we can fix the budget process. Correct?
Absolutely.
And I'm all for, let's go like next year. We do our budget time. We need to have the salary order. We need to have the salaries that we're gonna go with, resolutions, all that at the same time, instead of passing the salary ordinance and then 2 months later, oh, by the way, here, we're gonna change what we're gonna put in there because the numbers don't match up. The resolution doesn't match the budget.
But I think if
I mean,
we
the numbers
lay
don't match.
all of our cards on the table at the same time, look at the budget in coordination with the salary ordinance, I think that eliminates a lot of the like influx feeling of those numbers. And that's been our protocol. It's not necessarily the park, it's not like they started the situation. We've always kind of approved the budget, and then once we got feedback from the state, then went ahead and did salary ordinance. But now knowing that we can revise these salary ordinances relatively quickly and easily, I think that it's in everybody's best interest that we approve the salary ordinance in conjunction with the budget. And then if we have to revise it later, obviously we can. We did it tonight for the housekeeping position.
I am dead against changing the salary ordinance. One of the main reasons I might go along with Shane is how it was done. And I don't like that. I'll just be honest. I don't like the way it was done. I don't have a dog in the fight about firing the guy or getting rid of him. That's none of this council's business. But the budget process is this council's business. And when the numbers don't add up and it's brought up, and I have tried, Jeff and I have tried, we've met with Brian and Bill and different people probably 5-6 times and never got any place. It was always the same. We can do this. Well, and I disagree with the amount of money that is quoted here for legal fees. That we're not gonna do that, okay? But if we make this judgment moot, we've just shut the door on the process as far as I'm concerned. And it could turn around and happen again. The main thing for me is you got 2 park employees, 3 park employees, and this council, along with them 3 park employees, during the summer months has approximately 80 other employees. And to tell these people you're getting 5% raise, the police department's getting 10%. The 5% is the biggest raise we have given as a council in the 12.5 years that I've been on there. Everybody's happy. Now, a year ago, we didn't give no raises. The park resolution that was turned in was never voted on because they done what the town done. They went by the salary ordinance. No one got any raises, nobody in the park got any raises. There was not a vote on that resolution. The only thing that changed on the salary ordinance was the holidays. The things that have to be changed yearly. I'm dead against changing the salary ordinance.
Say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. A couple of things first, and then because I'll lose track of it if I don't start with what you just finished with. When we didn't give raises last year or 2 years ago, whenever that was because the park board decided to not give raises. That's how we got there. Is we discussed it at a park board meeting. We learned the town employees weren't getting raises. We talked about it and we voted to not give raises also. That's how that happened. It wasn't because we were tied to the town's salary ordinance.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, you can laugh if you want. I mean, I was
I'm going
there.
to. I don't agree with you,
Oh.
okay?
That's just the history.
You've always done, the park has always went along with what the town has done. Now, all of a sudden, we want to change them rules. I disagree.
We're not changing anything. There's 2 issues, and I want to address you, Shane, if I could.
Yeah.
I've said it here publicly, and I've talked to Marissa privately, I've talked to Steve privately. We've got to do better on the budget. I completely agree with you, and I've said that here before. I know, because I know Aaron Burris, I know the people on the park board, there was no bad intent with the budget. But as I said to Steve earlier, either yesterday or today, when he says it back to me with the timing of it, it looks terrible. I mean, it's one of those things that, looking at it from your side of the room, it does look terrible. And all I can do, and that's why I said to Steve, is we have to be better about that. And I'll be very honest, I've been on the park board for, I don't know, 8 years now, 9 or something. And typically, the budget is just a rubber stamp. I mean, and it shouldn't be that way. I'm not supporting that. But typically, it's a quick presentation by Aaron or Ron Barnhart. Here's our budget, approved. We don't even show up at the council meeting, approved, done, rubber stamp. It should never be that way. And so through this process, we all need to learn. And that's what I absolutely, because I president the park board, accept responsibility for that, is what we should have done. Absolutely what we should have done last fall is come back and said, so you know, we need to amend our budget because this is what we're doing. We didn't do that. I can't fix that now.
No, it's just, going on what you're saying, that just to me, it just looks like it's, whether it's not a bad deal or not, I wasn't there.
Right.
Don't really bother me, but the perception of it is just, it's horrible. And we've always had that goodwill faith, but now it's like, okay, now do we have to really start paying more attention? You know, it's.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
And I understand, and that's why I say when Steve says it back to me, I'm like, yeah, from your side, I get it. It looks, timing wise, it looks terrible. And if I could back up to whenever that was, September, whatever month that was, if I could back up in time, I would come in and say, guys, so you know, we submitted this budget. We're about to make a significant change. We need to amend our budget. I wish that would have happened. It didn't. I can't fix that now, but I know moving forward, it'll be better. I know this year it'll be better because we'll have conversations with you and it'll stop being a rubber stamp. It'll stop being, kind of a, it's the parks budget approved and let's get on with things. It has to get better. So I completely agree with you about that. The separate issue from the budget is who sets the park compensation? And the answer has been given to us over and over and over again. It's the same answer. Everywhere, every answer we've received has been the same answer. The park sets a compensation. I've read the petition that Wes Garrett filed for Willie. Wes is a great attorney, good guy. Right? In his petition, the one law that's cited is the statute that says the park board shall set the compensation for park employees. The only thing the declaratory judgment is asking, and I agree with Jeff, because of the position Willie's in, you get to a point where there's no choice but to file that. But as Jeff said, if you amend the ordinance to just remove the three park people positions, the three park positions from the salary ordinance, then there is no more question for a judge to decide. That's, as Jeff said, it's moved. The question has been answered. Willie's no longer in a bad position.
What happens next time, Brian?
What? I'm
What
sorry.
happens if this situation happens again
What?
with another department besides the park?
Well,
Let's say the police department.
different. And I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, Willie, so I apologize, but the difference is this. The park, when it was set up, the park board in the 70s, long before I was around, we became our own separate entity. We get our own property tax draw, the park does. We don't get money from the town. All of our money is from property tax designed to go to the park and income that we make. The police department are in a different position. They get their money directly from the town, and that's the difference. Is we don't, if you look at where our money comes from, we don't get $1 from the town. Everything is from property tax because of what happened in the 70s and income we generate. So that's what distinguishes the park from the fire department, police department,
Street department.
street department.
That's general fund.
Right, that's general fund. They get their money from the town. Nobody in the park is getting money from the town. And it's odd because we all know each other, we all work together, we're all completely intertwined. But if you look at the park's money, our entire budget, all of our money, not $1 comes from the town. And that's the distinction.
I've learned a
Then-
lot in this process too, and
So
that's one of the things
and I
I've
don't
learned too.
disagree with you on that.
Yeah.
But the other side of the coin on this is tonight and last month, even though I wasn't here, the park come to this council to get approval for a bond, because they can't do it unless they get approval from the town.
Right.
Tonight, the park comes and gets approval for impact fees, because they can't do it unless we vote on it.
Right.
So it's hard for me to understand
The distinction.
that the town doesn't do anything.
And I understand, and I'm sorry to keep calling Steve out, but I talk to him more than probably anybody else, and it's what he and I talk about. You guys are our fiscal body, the same as like the county council is the fiscal body for the prosecutor's office. If Rodney Cummings wants to give a deputy a raise, he doesn't go to the county council and say, hey, I want to give this one deputy prosecutor a raise. It's within his budget. They're the fiscal body. They approve his budget. But what he does with it, he doesn't go back and forth. You guys are a fiscal body, so we need you for bonds, for impact fees. That's your role. And that, I'm acting like I'm smart on this. I've learned so much in the last 6 months.
Me too.
That I didn't know
Me
in
too.
August of last year. But
Since-
that's, if you would have asked me last August if we got money from the town, I would have said, sure. I learned we didn't.
The end of October, I did.
Mhm.
That's when I started.
So it's been a learning process, but I agree with Marissa. If you guys remove the 3 part positions from the town salary ordinance, that's the end of it. That ends the declaratory judgment because there's no question for a judge to decide, and we all move on. And that's,
So when we set the town raises
Mhm.
under, because I'm still trying to learn this as well. We set the town raises, all employees, which would include the park department, correct?
No.
So their raises, so when we go to a park, when we go to a raise, their money, you can set you can set your employee compensation at whatever you want, which you've already set it, and it's what you put in the budget.
right.
We just took that number and said, okay, we're gonna give everybody a 5% raise. And that's where we're
That's where the
Off
confusion
with,
is.
right?
Yes, yeah, and to answer that, Shane, if what we have done since I've been on Parkwood is if the town is giving a 3% raise, we talk about it, we vote, we give a 3% raise. This year was different because of the moves we made. But a good example is the lifeguards. We voted unanimously because we had to, our lifeguards were making between $8 and $9 an hour. We can't hire a high school kid for $9 an hour these days. So recently, we all voted unanimously to up that, I think, to $12 or $13.
How long do we?
The last meeting.
Yeah, it was just
And again, those are very small dollars, but it's about a 40% raise that we gave. And the law says we're the ones who set the compensation. We don't need to come to the town council and say, hey, we're gonna give our lifeguards a raise. Is that okay with you guys? We put it in the budget. I mean, it's within our budget, but we had to do that in order to.
I think the important thing is that we have the conversation though. Hey,
Absolutely.
okay, this is how much Wendy's is paying their kids to work there. How much do you guys want to do this year? Like, I think that that's a lot of the misunderstanding and the frustration with the whole thing is that this year we did not have the dialogue. And I don't know that you've ever had the dialogue, but I'm saying that going forward, I think that this has kind of scared us all off a little bit and that we're going to be more likely to engage in the dialogue during the budget process versus here's my budget, vote on it, which is how, and I'm not saying that in a negative way, but that's how we've handled budget in the past.
Right. And I completely, agree. Once we start the budget process, and I don't know who, if all of you or a couple of you want to sit down with Aaron and a couple of us and work through our budget so that when we present it, you've already seen it, you've already gone through it. That's a much better way to do it moving forward. And
We've already talked about doing that.
Yeah. We can't talk about it enough.
Right.
Yeah.
And starting the process.
And starting the process earlier.
Trying to, yes, so
That way
that
they
Karen's
get
not
it.
up against a deadline.
Yes, and yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Chief, have I ever quizzed you on your budget? Yes. I have. So it isn't like we've never done this, okay? And, at times I thought he was putting money in there that shouldn't be there, okay? And we talk about it. But we were up front with each other it wasn't like he was gonna put it in there. He told me he was gonna put it in there. And it was $5,000 more than current year.
Earmarks are carbon.
You know, and it works. So I agree with, we all need to talk more. But I am still dead against changing this ordinance. I don't have a problem if what Marissa's wanting to do and get the numbers together, then vote on changing the ordinance. But I'm still dead against changing the salary ordinance just for the two reasons. Makes the judgment moot. And we got 80, say 35 regular employees, 80 during the summer months. And we got, I'm not gonna say it that way. Them 80 people are tickled to death that they got a 5% raise. Now, all of a sudden, they're being told, I won't deal in names, this position's gonna get a 14% raise. I'm dead against it. I have been since you and I talked back in October. And we could never, Brian and I could never come to a mutual understanding at all. Not, and it's not personal, it's not, but I disagreed with him, he disagreed with me, and it just, it got to the point we had to file this judgment. And I want to be very upfront, I have talked with Brian numerous times and Jeff that I do not want this on the front page of the paper. And I've said that since mid-October, because we don't need it on the paper. But I think the people need to know exactly what's going on. So that's one more reason why I'm against changing the ordinance. I'll shut up.
And if I could say one thing, then
Sure.
I'll shut up too. The declaratory judgment didn't have to be filed because backed up a step. As I understand, Mr. Bowles hired a different attorney who gave him the same answer that we've been saying, as the park sets the salaries. And at that moment, the town council could have said, all right, that's the end of it. There's the law. Let's vote to change
That
this.
wasn't law, Brian.
It is the law. It's
No,
exactly-
it's an opinion.
Chat, the statute says, you can read the declaratory judgment, it says in there, the park board sets the compensation for park employees, period.
No, I know that.
That's not an opinion, that's the law.
Okay, but you said the first lawyer or whoever, you could read that and that's the law. That's not the law. That's an opinion. And if anybody calls it, I did. I told that gentleman right there, I don't want any more opinions. I want something in writing from a judge that makes it law. And whatever the answer is, I'm fine with it. I am, and I think I know what the answer will be, and I'm fine with it.
But the problem, and I want to reiterate what you said, the last thing we need is our newspaper articles that seem as though the town and park are pitted against each other. That's going to happen because now park employees have been served with court papers, and now they have deadlines to file responses. It can end tonight. If it doesn't, the court proceedings march on, and park employees, the park board, have to get attorneys to file responses, and but it can end tonight and make the question for the judge. And that's the way. And I'll shut up too.
All right, buddy.
I'm not going to repeat what everybody else has said. I've just got a few comments because I'm going to be honest with everybody. I've been stressing about this since it's all started. I'm on the phone talking to people on a weekly basis, just trying to figure out a way to where we both, the park and the town, can be working as one. Because when the park benefits, the town benefits, and vice versa. We are one entity. We are mixed in with some laws that are a little confusing to some people. Okay. 50 years have went by. We're a small town still. 50 years have went by and we've interacted just fine together. And now we're seeing we're growing and things are going to get a little more complicated. There's other communities that are at each other's throats over some things like this. And I don't want Pendleton to be that way. When I ran and got elected, I always told people that I was not going to worry about what my personal opinion was. I was going to do what's right for the town and what's right for the community. And people have opinions. I have opinion. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong. Do I think mistakes were made from both sides? Absolutely, mistakes have been made, but we're learning from them. I do not need a hard judgment from the courts telling me who's right and who's wrong, okay? Everything that I've read and seen has stated that the park board can use their money and budget the way they want to budget, as long as it's not out of line and out of control. I don't want to see this in court. I've said that there's nobody, everybody knows my opinion on that. I never wanted to see this in court. I do think that the town employees and the park employees' salaries should mirror each other. Should other employees get paid more because of their responsibilities and their titles? Yes. But in the end, we have to be good financial stewards, and to use money, taxpayer money, to pay for attorneys. No offense taken. I don't want you, no offense, but I would rather use that money to help possibly give the other employees, which Marissa has stated, it's a little over 1%. We can give them that bump and raise, so we still can mirror what the park employees are getting compared to what the town employees are getting. I think that's a win-win situation. Who's going to complain that I got another little 1%, I got another 1% raise? Once again, that's my opinion. Okay. Chet has his opinion, but what I'd like to say to the president, and that I really respect and believe he does a wonderful job, is that this is a board of 5 people. And it's meant to be that way. And if other board members are having issues, this judgment from the courts, then we need to take another look at it, because it's been going on for months and months and months. So if we have to take a motion and a second and a vote and try to figure it out and let the rest of the board speak, then I think we need to do that. And come what may. I mean, there's been decisions on this board that I didn't necessarily agree with and I voted against, but I didn't hold a grudge. I didn't take it personally. I did what I thought was best for the town, as the other board members did what they thought was best for the town. So I hope I'm making a little bit of sense. I don't know or not, but I really do feel that the way not to do it is have a third party make this decision for us when we pretty much know what the decision is going to be. That's all I got.
So where are we at?
We have a
We got a
motion,
motion.
and a second.
What's the motion again?
To remove the references to the park employees out of our salary ordinance is the actual motion. And then I added, with the understanding that we would get back together after we've crunched the numbers and have a special meeting to amend the entire salary ordinance for the town to reflect an additional allocation to our purely town employees that are not part of the park resolution.
Okay, I got a motion to amend the salary ordinance and have a special meeting and to look at the numbers from the park. Do I have a second?
You have a second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. Willie?
Robert Jones,
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Shane Davis.
Aye.
I'm sorry, what?
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Aye.
Chet Bab.
No.
Now that,
This time,
well, that's the first reading of that, because any amendment to the ordinance is a new ordinance in itself and require the multiple readings. So it would require unanimous consent to adopt that tonight.
even though we don't have an ordinance.
Correct, but it is, you are anytime you amend an ordinance, you're making an ordinance.
Okay.
Can we, instead of suspending it, can we, as a council, decide to have a executive session next week and possible special meeting to have a second reading as of next week?
You could do it next week in a special meeting.
That way we could get
and
together.
you
and
you
just-
of course can have an executive session about this matter. It's clearly litigation.
That way we,
Do. I'm against doing that, but that's,
I mean,
we can
I'm
vote
just
on it.
bringing that up.
We can
I was
talk
just,
about it. if we've already voted on the amendment,
Mhm.
first
That's the
reading,
numbers.
and I'm sure we're gonna, if we vote again, it's gonna come out the same way. So I'm all ready to take a motion to suspend the rules and move forward.
I make a motion, we suspend the rules.
I'll second that.
I got a motion second, to suspend the rules to go ahead and vote on, I'm gonna call it 22-17, probably.
Mhm.
I say probably, it's last one I know about. Willie, roll call vote.
One thing before I do that, if I make a comment, and Jeff, I don't want to put you on the spot, but when we were going through this and I was getting guidance from you, and that's how this judgment got started, is, and I have a lot of respect for Brian too, both of you. Are we at the point where Brian's right now and we're wrong?
No, I didn't say, I would be more than willing to do that. I have argued cases, there's other authority that is mentioned. First off, there's, I don't want to get too much into litigation, but there is authority that specifically says that the park employees are department of the town. Well, what effect does that have? What effect does the salary ordinance have? So is Brian right? I didn't agree with everything he said there. I think I told Marissa this afternoon, I've argued a hell of a lot weaker cases than this.
Well, I'm not a board member. I think I report to the Attorney General. And that's why I came to this point, because I listened to what Brian said, made a lot of sense. I listened to what Jeff said. You made a comment about the other attorney. Well, him and I had a miscommunication. I asked him about doing some paperwork on it, and he voiced an opinion and then he informed me after he gave me that opinion, he couldn't do the paperwork legal after that. I don't know why. But anyway, that's when I got, the other attorney. But, I'd like to see it processed. I'd like to see it happen, but, that's one person's voice.
I'd like to see the record reflect that I was right, but apparently that's not gonna happen.
Do what?
I said, I would like to see the record reflect that I was right, but apparently that's not gonna happen.
Beggars can't be choosers.
There's an ex-wife joke there somewhere. I know. We don't want to go there.
No.
Okay, so we're taking vote. Ready?
On
Suspending the
Yeah,
rules.
the rules.
Steve Denny.
Aye.
Shane Davis.
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Robert Jones.
Aye.
Chet Bab.
Aye. Okay, let's have a motion and a second to amend the salary ordinance and go through the numbers quickly. When I say go through the numbers, that will be with the clerk treasurer's office, probably Aaron, whoever you want to do it, and Marissa and myself. So do I have a motion to amend the salary ordinance?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Robert Jones.
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Shane Davis.
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Aye.
Chet Bab.
No,
Now, do we have
motion is carried.
the park board president right now? We have your word on public record that you're gonna work with the town council now to get this.
I always have.
No, I mean,
It's not in our
I mean,
regard, apparently, but yes.
but this has gotta,
Yes, absolutely.
Mark has something.
Mark. Chief,
We know where to go.
That's a position that's been in our budget for the 17 years. of it.
Absolutely.
We just
Yeah.
around.
Left her out. Yep. No
Don't
problem.
ever do that again. Any other comments, questions? Jokes?
Bad joke.